In the year 480 BC, the Persian Empire stood at the gates of Greece with the largest invasion force the ancient world had ever seen. King Xerxes had assembled armies from across his vast empire, from India to Ethiopia, from the steppes of Central Asia to the deserts of Arabia. Among his commanders was someone unexpected, a Greek woman named Artemisia, queen of Halicarnassus, who commanded 5 warships in the Persian fleet. Artemisia was born into royalty in Halicarnassus, a Greek city on the coast of what is now Turkey. When her husband died, she became queen and ruler in her own right, governing not just Halicarnassus, but also the islands of Kos, Nisyros, and Kalymnos. In the ancient world, widowed queens usually remarried quickly or stepped aside for a male heir. Artemisia did neither. She ruled alone, and when Xerxes called his vassals to war against mainland Greece, she answered, not by sending troops under a male commander, but by taking command herself. This was extraordinary for several reasons. First, she was Greek fighting against Greeks, her own people. Second, she was a woman commanding warships in an era when warfare was considered exclusively male territory. Third, she didn't send a token force to satisfy her obligations. She brought 5 triremes, warships that required about 170 men each to row and fight. This meant she commanded nearly 1,000 men directly. The ancient historian Herodotus, who came from Halicarnassus himself, tells us that Artemisia's ships were among the best in the entire Persian fleet. Only the Sidonian vessels were considered superior. This wasn't just about having ships. It was about having well-trained crews, experienced captains, and the tactical knowledge to use them effectively. As the Persian fleet sailed toward Greece, Xerxes held councils with his commanders. Most urged immediate attack. They had overwhelming numbers, they said, and the Greek fleet was tiny by comparison. But Artemisia spoke differently. She advised caution. The Greeks, she warned, were better sailors fighting in their own waters. The Persian fleet was a collection of contingents from different nations who barely trained together. A naval battle in the confined waters near Greece would favor the Greeks, not the Persians. Xerxes listened, but didn't take her advice. The Persian fleet advanced toward the island of Salamis, where the Greek navy had gathered. Some sources say Xerxes valued Artemisia's counsel so highly that he told her she didn't need to fight, that she could withdraw her ships and avoid the battle. But Artemisia refused. She had come to fight. The Battle of Salamis would become one of the most decisive naval engagements in history. The Greeks, led by the Athenian commander Themistocles, had lured the Persian fleet into the narrow strait between Salamis and the mainland. Here, the Persian advantage in numbers became a disadvantage. Their ships crowded together, couldn't maneuver properly, couldn't bring their full force to bear. The Greek triremes struck like wolves among sheep. They rammed Persian ships, shearing off their oars, opening their hulls. The Persian fleet began to crumble into chaos. Ships collided with each other. Some tried to retreat, but found their way blocked by ships behind them, still trying to advance. The water turned red. Artemisia found herself in the thick of the fighting. An Athenian trireme, commanded by a captain named Amenius of Pallene, spotted her royal standard and gave chase. The Athenians had put a bounty on Artemisia's head, 10,000 drachmas for her capture, an enormous sum. They were outraged that a woman dared to fight against Athens. Artemisia's ship fled, but the Athenian trireme was faster and gaining. Ahead of her, blocking her escape route, was another ship from the Persian fleet, a vessel from Calinda, commanded by King Damasithemus. What happened next shocked everyone who witnessed it. Artemisia rammed the Calindian ship. Her bronze-plated bow crashed into its hull, splintering wood and opening it to the sea. The ship began to sink, taking Damasithemus and his crew with it. The Athenian captain, seeing Artemisia ram what appeared to be a Greek ship, assumed she had switched sides mid-battle, or that he had misidentified her vessel. He broke off pursuit to find other targets. Artemisia had saved herself through ruthless pragmatism. She sacrificed an allied ship to escape. Xerxes was watching the battle from a throne set up on the shore, surrounded by his scribes, who recorded the actions of his various commanders. When he saw Artemisia's ship ram and sink another vessel, his courtiers told him she had destroyed a Greek enemy ship. Xerxes, impressed, reportedly said, "My men have become women, and my women have become men." The Persians lost the Battle of Salamis catastrophically. Hundreds of ships were sunk or captured. The invasion fleet was crippled. Xerxes, shaken by the defeat, began planning his retreat from Greece. After the battle, Artemisia's counsel suddenly became much more valuable. Xerxes called another council, and this time he listened carefully to what she had to say. She advised him to return to Persia with most of his army, but to leave a substantial force under his general Mardonius to continue the campaign. This would show the Greeks that Persia hadn't been defeated, while ensuring the king's safety. Xerxes followed her advice exactly. Before leaving Greece, Xerxes entrusted Artemisia with a crucial mission, escorting his illegitimate sons to safety in Ephesus. This was an extraordinary honor and showed the level of trust Xerxes placed in her. Among thousands of commanders, nobles, and warriors, he chose a woman to protect his own children. Artemisia successfully completed this mission and returned to Halicarnassus, where she continued to rule. The historical record falls silent after this. We don't know when or how she died, or what else she accomplished in her remaining years. What we do know is how the Athenians remembered her. They never forgave her for fighting against them. Athenian playwrights mocked her in comedies. Historians portrayed her decision to ram the Calindian ship as proof of female treachery rather than tactical brilliance. The fact that male commanders often made similar ruthless decisions in battle was conveniently ignored. But Xerxes knew better. He had watched his admirals panic and fail at Salamis, had seen his massive fleet routed by the smaller Greek navy, and through it all, Artemisia had fought skillfully, escaped when escape seemed impossible, and given sound strategic advice that Xerxes should have heeded from the start. The irony of Artemisia's story is that she fought for the wrong side, at least from the Greek perspective that dominates our historical sources. Had she commanded ships for Athens or Sparta instead of Persia, she might be celebrated today as one of history's great naval commanders. Instead, she remains a footnote, a curiosity, a woman who dared to command warships in an age when women were supposed to stay home. But she commanded those ships brilliantly, survived one of history's greatest naval battles, and earned the respect of the most powerful emperor in the world. That should be enough.